Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Leicester Cable Access, and here for those of us that are at home. Happy to have you here. I am Michael Shivick. I am an attorney here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I don't represent any particular set of views except my own. I don't represent LCAC or the town or any particular client, although people have asked me to retain them, but it wouldn't be proper in this matter. In any case, so we're here to talk tonight about a few different things. One in particular seems to be some water issues going on in town. And if you haven't checked out leicesterwatersolutions.com, I would suggest that you check out that privately funded site and take a look at some of the documents they have up there. There's some interesting stuff regarding the 2003 intermunicipal agreement between the town and the Leicester Water District, map of the Cherry Valley Hillcrest and CVRWD districts, and a bunch of other stuff. There's some good stuff there, good resources, and a template if you wanted to contact your representative about some of the issues that we've been having in town. For some of you that haven't been up to speed, Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District right now, their main water source is Henshaw Pond. There's been some issues with it. Mass DEP has stepped in and kind of said, hey, listen, you're not going to be able to use this anymore. Pretty big deal. You know, there's a lot of contention surrounding these issues in town. There's whether or not people can say this or that, or whether or not people can even really have an opinion on the issue. This being America, it's glad that people can have opinions on the issues, and that's why we're here tonight. So some of you may know that before I was born, it looks like April 1968 was the first work plan here for Moose Hill Reservoir, the municipal water and low flow release storage from the Shaw Pond and from Henshaw Pond, from Moose Hill into Shaw Pond, I'm trying to read off this old paper. As initially it was a stormwater drainage, and eventually the town decided that they would try to turn it into a reservoir. So we worked with DCR and tried to get this thing going forward. So that's 1968 this kind of commenced. There's probably going to be some startings before that, but we'll leave that out at this point. At that point, the engineers decided that there'd be about 1.5 million gallons of water available per day. Current supplies, the way that they were at that time, would be good enough till about the year 2000. There's some issues with some of the studies going forward here and there regarding whether they're regurgitating information or not, but this is the primary study here which led to the creation of Moose Hill in the first place. And if you're not sure where Moose Hill is, it's up on the edge of the Spencer-Leicester line, where there's that kind of a new road, Moose Hill Road there. So it kind of cuts through there. It's a little odd. It was created as part of that project. So if you went on to the Leicester Water Solutions website, you could link to the Leicester Town website and find good information about selected documents regarding Moose Hill and the water issues in town. So if you fast forward a little bit, we end up in the year 2003. And prior to that, there's been other studies done. There's a 1987 letter here, and again, there was a 1987 study done in addition to this 1968 study regarding Moose Hill as a water supply for the entire town. It's what it was developed for, and that had been the intention for some time. So we come into 1987, things look the same type of way. They project that water supplies may run short by around the year 2000, or if there was some problem with any of the water supplies in town, then it could be a really big problem for the town. In 1980, there was an intermunicipal connection between Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District and the city of Worcester, and that led to an emergency interconnection, which is where that district is getting their water from at this time. So it's coming through a temporary connection. I know that the district's not very happy about the manual turn on the spigot when certain events happen, such as fires. But again, it seems that there may be some issues regarding this long-term solution to the water supply problem in town that may be fallen to the wayside. So if I look at 2003, there's an intermunicipal agreement, which is a legally binding document between the Leicester Water District and the town of Leicester. And at that time, you know, it's important to remember what a contract really is. And it's agreements between people to make sure that they're fulfilled and they're legally enforceable. This is Black's Law Dictionary. It's kind of what legal people reference when they're looking for definitions like this. So a contract would be an agreement between two or more parties creating obligations that are enforceable or otherwise recognizable at law. That writing sets forth such an agreement, a promise or set of promises by a party to a transaction, enforceable or otherwise recognizable at law, the writing expressing that promise or set of promises. So it's a pretty interesting agreement here. It's about 4 pages long. but I'm just going to try to parse through it just for the people at home and on the internet so they kind of have an idea of what's going on here. Some of the people at home look like they're commenting here on Facebook, but at the same time, I got to make sure I stick to focus here and tell the people at home what's going on. So we have an agreement for expansion of water and sewer service along Route 9 between the Leicester Water Supply District and Town of Leicester. So the first paragraph says, this agreement made in May of 2003 between the Leicester Water Supply District and the Town of Leicester through its authorized agents. They enter into this agreement, acting accordingly and officially. Paragraph 2 is really important. The immediate intent of this agreement, the town and the district are mutually entering into, is to provide an interim water supply. It's really key that when people draft legal contracts like this, or agreements, which are contracts, the word interim there is chosen by the people who are making this thing. They don't just throw words in here haphazardly. So the immediate intent of making this agreement in 2003 was to provide an interim water supply and sewer connection for the rezoned portion of Route 9 West, recently accepted by the district to be included within its boundaries. This agreement will assist the town in promoting rezoned Route 9 West corridor for business activities. So that's good. So we rezoned Route 9 West, trying to do that as the business corridor. There's been some development out there. We can elaborate on that further. It's very important to know there's been some development out there. Leicester Water Supply District has put water in those pipes. And that's definitely amicable. But there seems to maybe be a few other things we should try to work on as well. Third paragraph I think is the most important because it's kind of like the preamble to the entire agreement. And if you look at the legislative history here going back to 1968, it's very important to remember that that all led up to this agreement. This isn't just something that came out of the blue. And again, these guys are represented by council and came to this agreement intermunicipally. Third paragraph, it's understood that the current district plant capacities for water and sewer are limited. So they're saying that there's limitations on the Leicester Water Supply District for water and sewer capacities. It will only provide an interim solution. So the way where they're at right now, this particular setup at the time would only provide an interim solution. It's a therefore, and this is the most important sentence in the document, therefore, comma, the long-range goal of the town and the district shall be the development of the Moose Hill Reservoir and/or Shaw Pond as a primary water source for the entire town. The water transmission main being installed under this agreement would then become a key component for the distribution of these water sources. That's really important. It seems that the reliance of this contract for the town and for the Leicester Water Supply District would be to ensure that Moose Hill pumps water at some point. Whether Leicester Water Supply District chooses to sign on for that is a different matter, but nonetheless, it shall be their joint goal to make sure that that happens. So. Again, contract language coming up here. In consideration of the mutual promises herein contained, the town and the district agree as follows. Paragraph 1. And if you're on the Leicester Water Solutions website, you can check out the actual wording of the contract, which is a little bit dense, but it's worth taking a look at if we're going over it word by word. First paragraph here. The town and the district have been duly authorized to enter this agreement by a vote of the town meeting for the town of Leicester and a vote of the district meeting for the Leicester Water Supply District, when you can find copies of those votes in their respective places. Second paragraph, the district has expanded the district limits to include all the properties that are adjacent to and that abut Route 9 from the expanded district limits at Mount Pleasant Drive to the Spencer Town Line, including the West Main Street section. So they're going to, at that point, they're going to expand what their district is to cover these water and sewer lines. It's part of the contract that they're signing. It also states, paragraph 3, the town has rezoned Route 9 from residential to business industrial zoning. Okay, that's part of the agreement. Paragraph 4, this is what the town was obligated to do in part. The town shall construct a water line in Route 9 and West Main Street and water booster station on property purchased by the district in the vicinity of 1340 Main Street, also known as Mount Pleasant. And that pump station is there today. Those water lines are there today. The water line shall be financed and paid for by the town and constructed under Mass Highway Project X, Y, and Z. The water booster station shall be financed and paid for the town and constructed as a part of a joint town district construction project. Paragraph 5, the district and reciprocal will construct a sewer line in Route 9 and West Main Street, sewer pump station on or adjacent to Town Beach Road. And you'll see that when you drive by Town Beach Road, that pump station is there and the sewer lines are there, running all the way to Route 9, I believe, from Paxton Street. The sewer lines shall be financed and paid for by the district and constructed under Mass Highway Project X, Y, and Z. The sewer pump station shall be constructed by the district. So under this contract, the town's gonna, we're gonna look forward to doing Moose Hill. We're gonna put some water lines in. We're gonna put some sewer lines in. We're working together to come to a joint conclusion here. Number 6, the district shall provide water to the transmission line from the intersection of Route 9 and Route 56 to the extension on West Main Street. The connection to the water booster station shall be built by the town on Route 9 on property purchased by the district in the vicinity of 1340 Main Street, also known as Mount Pleasant. The water line from Route 56 to the pump station shall be utilized as the feed line to the booster station until Moose Hill facility is in operation. So they're supposed to put water in those pipes here under paragraph 6 until Moose Hill is in operation. Section 7, the district shall provide sewer service to the existing residential properties and to all current and future commercial and industrial properties within the district, so contractually obligated to meet that demand should it arise. If anybody shows up there and wants to hook up, they have to meet that demand under this agreement. Chapter 8, the district shall provide water service and limited fire protection service west to Spencer Town Line, including West Main Street, through the water main from the booster station until such time as Moose Hill Reservoir facility pumps water from the reservoir. So it's clearly contemplated this is all just a temporary solution until Moose Hill is online. Section 9, ownership of the water mains and water booster station after construction and acceptance by the town. So after the town finances it, approves it, and accepts it, it becomes the property of the district. So that, that almost $2 million that was put in by the town becomes district property for Leicester Water District. The town retains perpetual rights to transmit water through the line, through the water mains from the Moose Hill facility to the distribution points at Route 9 and Route 56, clearly contemplating a need for water to join out to Hillcrest and to Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District. The connection to the district shall remain and be used as a distribution connection between the new water transmission main and the existing distribution main of the district for metering purposes for the Moose Hill Reservoir facility. So if the district decides to take water from Moose Hill when it comes online under this contract as a long-term solution, then they would have to meter that separately, and they would be buying it from the town essentially as a wholesaler, as would the other districts under this agreement. And that rate of payment and method of payment would be agreed at some later time by the town and the district. Section 10, the district shall construct and own a water storage tank at the district's expense at a later date to provide fire flow storage and future water storage from the Moose Hill Reservoir facility. Once the town utilizes said tank for water storage, any maintenance or use costs shall be negotiated between the town and the district. I'm not aware that there's any pump station, any water storage tank for Moose Hill water that's been built by the district at this point, although it may not be necessitated as part of the project at this juncture. Section 11, all connections made to the newly installed water mains on Route 9 shall be serviced by the district, so they're required to deal with whatever happens there. And the district shall determine the connection fees and the maintenance fees. Section 12, all operational and maintenance costs related to the water mains and water booster station installed shall be the responsibility of the district. So they're, again, once they take property ownership, they're in charge of dealing it under the contract they willfully signed. Section 13, very important language here. Once Moose Hill Reservoir facility water is provided to the water mains, again, the long-term solution, Moose Hill Reservoir, the water mains shall also become a distribution transmission main from the Moose Hill Reservoir facility. So again, it's clearly contemplated that the mains that have been put in Route 9 are to be used so you could pump water from Moose Hill down to the other districts, and Leicester if they so chose. The booster pump station should become a standby station at that point. And any chance that that Moose Hill was taken offline at the point. So this whole section contemplates Moose Hill being online as a matter of fact. Any connections made to the water main between the facility and Route 9 shall be metered for water, and that's again at the district's discretion. Connections to water mains for Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District and Hillcrest shall be the responsibility of each district. So, it says in here, which has been a public contract since 2003, that if these guys want to hook into Moose Hill, this is the long-term plan, and this is the way that you could do it. It's at the discretion of the town, but I don't remember the district necessarily bringing that up for a vote at any particular time. So, maybe there's something I'm unaware of there, which is often the case sometimes. No water shall be provided to these districts until Moose Hill Reservoir facility is supplying water, unless otherwise agreed to Leicester Water Supply District. So if some of you remember, Cherry Valley Rochdale approached Leicester Water District. They were under no obligation to provide water. They couldn't reasonably provide water based on their own estimates for whatever reason. And they're not required to. But again, it's contemplated that these other districts are going to be getting water from Moose Hill. And again, this is 2003. So before that, again, this started in about 1968. It's a multi-decade project. Section 15, the agreement's entered into under the authority of the Mass General Laws. It shall be a 25-year contract from 2003, which puts us into, I believe, 2028. Annually during the construction, the town and district shall cooperate in conducting an audit of the funds so expended under this agreement, so provide a consolidated financial statement in form of approved by the treasurer of the district and the accountant of the town, setting forth all funds received by the project and expended together. So upon completion of the project, the town and district shall prepare a final audit report. So there should be some kind of a financial audit report on file with the town and or the district to be looked at, and I'll be inquiring about that. The financial liability of each party shall not exceed the amount appropriated by the town, so you can't make it cost overruns over what the people voted for at town meeting. This is very important too, and this is something you guys can look forward to upcoming as town people and district members, which are the same people. Section 18, annually, the town, represented by a member of the Board of Selectmen, a member of the Moose Hill Water Commission, and the town administrator, shall meet with the district commissioners to review and discuss the current water and sewer capacities and water distribution system of the district. Information shared through this meeting will be utilized by all parties to promote the development of Moose Hill Reservoir and or Shaw Pond as a primary water source and to market the Route 9 West corridor for business development. These are agreements that were witnessed and signed with counsel for the town, with counsel for the district. Two of the commissioners that are in the district are still currently the commissioner, so I believe that they're aware of what's going on in here. The select board's changed over a little bit again, but there are some people, there's at least one that signed this, that's a turnover. And so again, here we are in 2017, looking up at the FY18 budget, which is really what made me kind of look into some more of this in the first juncture. If I look at the maturing debt and interest, the draft for the FY18, we're looking at the Route 9 West Water Project. So the FY16 we paid, that's for the debt service, about 20 grand. They're looking for about another 10 this year. So every year it kind of changes based on budgetary constraints. But again, we're paying for interest every year on this as taxpayers and have been and will be in the foreseeable future. Route 9 Water Project, the principal is about $100,000 this year, and the pump station's principal is about another $10,000. So you're looking at maybe about $120,000 of tax dollars going this year alone. That's about $2 million of tax dollars over the course of the agreement. So why are we making an issue of this? Because, well, it looks like Cherry Valley Rochdale doesn't really have a water supply that's viable at this juncture. And although it's been floated to just, connect on to Worcester, it doesn't necessarily make sense to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you were to go to the Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District website, cvrwd.com, I believe it is, and take a look at the minutes. You look at minutes from, I believe from October, where the chairman of that district stated that if $1 is spent on this intermunicipal connection, that town water is pretty much a dead issue, meaning Moose Hill is going to be a dead issue. So why would we put away all of that money, all of that effort, without having an idea of what the cost would be to bring it up? People will tell you it's not feasible because there's cost constraints, but people don't know what it would cost to bring it up, so it's a moot argument. And I find that people are getting really upset about even talking about this as a final solution when it looks like I have years and years of studies and tax dollars that have been spent on this, and I don't understand, how to be the bad guy for talking about what's out there. And you'll see behind me, we got on the other side, we got Moose Hill, Hill Yes. If you see these guys out there, you know that there's regular people out there, just like you guys, that want a solution to this, and you want a reasonable solution to the water problems in town. The rates are insane in Cherry Valley Rochdale water, in my opinion, at this point. People are complaining about that a lot. That seems to be the main concern for people. What should also be a concern is how much money you're paying in your tax bill. So $2 million, how many parks can you renovate with $2 million? How many police can you put on the street? And if Moose Hill doesn't go forward, as it seems that certain individuals are pushing it to go that way, then that money is just going to be seeded. They're just going to get those water lines, and that pump station just becomes part of the Leicester Water District. So essentially, the town would reserve its right to be able to pump water from Moose Hill if it ever on its own decided to come up with the money to do it. But it's going to take a joint effort between the districts. Every one of these studies dating back to 1968 says the same thing. The 2008 study says that it's a viable source at 1.5 million gallons per day, not 1.5 million gallons total. Some people have confused that and said it's going to run out in a couple of days with that much water in it. So there's a lot of, alternative facts out there. But I'm reading off of, this is a contract between the town and the water district. These are minutes from the water district. This is a letter from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is a study sanctioned by the town, done by SEA Consultants in 2008. So what's the point? The point is, we should explore all of our options. If it came out that Moose Hill was actually so contaminated or something along that line that it was not viable, then it wouldn't be worth it. But no one knows right now. And to throw the baby out with the bathwater is a terrible idea. If we look at what's going on with some of these, say, if we take a look at the Cherry Valley Rochdale Water District meeting, there's a lot of confusion going on at those meetings. And there was room for private people to just have meetings at random places because people were hungry for information. I bet you people still don't feel like they had all of the information on that one. But what they didn't want to do is waste a reservoir in town while making a temporary connection, which although stated as permanent, the language changed on that a couple of times. It was temporary and then it was permanent, and then it was temporary permanent for a while. So I mean, I'm sure that it's not easy to be in a position where you're required to supply water. Times change, things cost money. We need a fire station, we need X, we need Y, we need Z. We need to be serious about what's going on here with Moose Hill. I believe that if we let this go to waste, it's a substantial waste of taxpayer dollars. The town signed a contract to bring this forward. Cherry Valley's out of water. Had we acted in a reasonable fashion, this may not have been the case. If you push it off down the line, it's just going to become more expensive to do it. And again, if you decide not to do it, that $2 million is just thrown out. So that's $2 million in tax dollars on that one project for water lines alone. Never mind what else came along with that, whether it became the cost of putting Moose Hill online in the first place, whether it be making it a little bit taller than they were originally going to do it to house that type of water that we could use. There's other costs associated. It's decades of work, committees, studies. The Board of Selectmen just authorized another $50,000 to push forward to find out how much it's going to cost to bring this online. And how do you bring it online? Well, I'm not the water guy. I'm not the smartest guy on earth by any means, but I did get a chance to learn how to read some of these documents pretty well and use my legal education for the benefit of the town and for the district. And as a citizen of the district and as a citizen of the town, it just seems an incredible waste of money to throw out what was supposed to be a primary water source. And there's a contract that states that these two districts are going to work for that. So Cherry Valley's off doing what they're going to do. Hillcrest is kind of trying to work with Leicester. Leicester put their their sewer lines in and did what they were supposed to do there. But it's my understanding that they're trying to look at groundwater sources, and there may or may not be some resistance to bringing Moose Hill online, whether because of imagined costs or imagined obstacles, or maybe reasonably imagined obstacles. But there's nothing saying that there's any impediment to Moose Hill coming online. So if people want to use scare tactics, you have to question their motives on that. And when we do get a cost, if it's $100 billion, which it won't be, again, it's not a feasible option. But if it's something that it makes sense to go forward with the next $200,000 to a lot, to get it, roughly $200,000, to get it what's called shovel ready, to get it on an environmental bond bill or for EPA funding, it makes sense to put ourselves in position to make this long-term project a reality. We had the chance to do it in earlier days, but we were hit with other regulations. It's my understanding, based on speaking with other selectmen, that we had chosen to cap the landfill at that time instead. So there was conflicts there. There's no reason that this shouldn't be looked at. There's no reason this shouldn't be going forward. Again, people are contractually obligated to go forward on this. They're contractually obligated to make this their long-term goal. They're contractually obligated to do this. So whether the town hasn't kept up on their part, it looks like there's going to be potentially a meeting coming up with Senator Moore, and that'll be good. There's been prior meetings, so people are talking about this. But again, there's nothing nullifying this contract at this point. So to say that it's a null point, or it's to this, or it's to that, or it's not feasible, I think it's a little bit disingenuous. And to say that there's nothing we could do to fix this, I think that's maybe a little disingenuous as well. Because if you look at it, you can easily hold public hearings. This isn't the Vatican we're dealing with. These are the same people that work in town that also represent these districts. And so if it was the Pope in the Vatican, it'd be a different story because he's autonomous. But these are regular citizens, and if the people from Cherry Valley, Rochdale put the money together in tax money to put these lines in and cover this money, now they're left without any water, and the whole intent was to bring this forward. So it seems like everybody should be working extra hard together. That's what I would like to see people doing. But it's just a lot of negativity when it comes to trying to push this forward. A lot of we can't. And I think that if we push together a we can, I mean, there's 30 years of legislative history, millions of dollars behind me, and I think there's a few people that have some questions about, transparency in government, and they want to see a transparent government, and I want to see a transparent government. So here we are here, Mike Shivick here. We're going to be pushing on this budget coming up, and $100 and something thousand this year that's a park renovation. So we're going to shovel that money. Even though, we did get some benefit from being able to put a couple of businesses in there, was it necessary to install $2 million in water and sewer lines to get 3 or 4 businesses up there, or whatever the number happens to be? Was that the case? But it's irrelevant. The contract says what it says. That's the purpose, and I think everybody should be working together. So as Art comes in and gives me the 1 minute, I'm going to tell him thank you very much. 4 minutes. 4 minutes from Art Paquette. Thanks. Art, I'm going to give you the 2 minute. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks. Art Paquette, I was informed tonight that I would have to ask a week in advance to become present on LCAC from now on if I want to schedule shows. So that's an interesting development as well. In any case, I called for public hearings on this matter. I think that it's a very important. Drinking water is probably the most important matter there is. When there's public tax dollars at hand and they're going out the door for a public project that's supposed to be alleviating this problem, and we're told we can't talk about it, we're told we can't do anything about it, we're told that it's a dead issue. How could it be a dead issue when it wasn't a dead issue in 2009? It just became a dead issue overnight. After 40 years of not being a dead issue, it doesn't add up. And once we get some numbers on Moose Hill, it'd be interesting to see what those numbers are. If it makes sense to go forward with funding, there was a 2013-2014 environmental bond bill. There was a water management bill. These bills are put forward by the state to assist people, but you have to ask them for help. And if you don't ask them for help, they're not going to help. So why aren't people asking for help on this? That's the real question you have to ask. Why is this not feasible? It is feasible, and I'd like to see people work together. I've taken a lot of criticism for talking about this, for bringing this up. There's been people that are strong and stand with me on this, and I'll continue to stand up for the taxpayers in town because somebody has to. And as a citizen of the town of Leicester and as a district member, clean, reliable drinking water is important. Just trying to think planning-wise, regional water security is important. Jamming us onto Worcester is $2 million spent here, $2 million spent there. And we don't really get a permanent solution. It's not really a good deal, in my opinion, to put us in a position where we have real inequitable bargaining position when it comes to rates or what happens to our water. And there's a few articles about that, and people had their varying opinions on what that is. And there's people that are going to not want Moose Hill for various reasons. And you have to question what their motives are. I'm for this until I find out it's not real. If people have a problem with that, again, there's a contract signed that says that this is what we're doing. So it's not that it's any kind of rogue operation. This has been the plan for decades. So this is Mike Shivick, attorney here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, here on my own behalf. Not as a selectman tonight, but just talking to you guys as a citizen of the town of Leicester. I grew up here, 3rd generation, and I'm proud to help bring this information out. If you have questions, log on to leicesterwatersolutions.com, or alternatively, reach out to the town administrator of Leicester or your water district and ask them what's going on and why we aren't having a little bit more cooperation. We'd love to see more cooperation and less tension between the districts, and I know that, for one, I'm happy to help put my brain to work on behalf of the town of Leicester. All right, I really appreciate everything you got going on in there, and this is attorney Mike Shivick representing myself tonight. Signing off, thank you very much. I'm in the Citizens Corner as always since June of this past year, and it's always a pleasure. Thanks.